All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a sphere here. If you look at these two drawing, or this drawing here, I have a sphere that is here, it's wedged on the side of the rectangle or the cuboid. And I have another sphere here that's also wedged here. So you can kind of see that once I apply the value, you'll just see that the top of it is just wedged on the back corner. So find something round. You could use a, what do you call, a compass, or you could use something that's already round and you could just trace inside of it. I thought that circle was going to be a little too small and I wanted something a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is just go a little bigger than the circle. And if this was the center, I think about right there. If that's kind of where I wanted to be, I think right there would be good. Right here, go a little bigger. The easiest thing to do is to use a glass. All right, I have my sphere. And the sphere, clearly this is a sphere. This is resting on top. So if I were to draw a sphere, or if I were to break down a sphere in the center and I drew a line around it, that line dissecting it in half would be an ellipse. So we have to figure out how this will sit on top of this form, much like this cylinder is sitting on top of the form. And it's nice to have this ellipse here because the width of this is very similar. I'm just going to measure this using my pencil. The width of this guy and this guy is very similar. So that means the height of the ellipse is going to be, of this ellipse will be very similar to that. It'll just be a smidge shorter because it's a smidge shorter in width. So therefore the height of it should be a smidge shorter. Now, what you want to find first is if you see this, if you can see this circle here that I have, I'm just going to get this out of the way, it's driving me nuts. But if you see the circle that I have here, if you look at the orange line, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little dot right here. And that dot, I'm using blue, but I didn't want to do that. That dot's going to represent where this ellipse is going to begin for this plane. And it's also going to be an ellipse on this side plane. And I'll show you how to do this now. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to rough this in. And when you rough this in, you're going to rough it in using a perfectly horizontal ellipse because it's going on a flat plane. This is a plane that you could walk on and it would be level. So this height of the ellipse, again, I said it's going to be a little bit shorter than that. So I'm just kind of like roughing in a quick ellipse right now. Remember, this is roughing this in. And I'm also going to rough in a side ellipse, but it's going to start here and go up and over in this direction. And it stays within the sphere. And how big is this ellipse? This side plane, because the ellipse is going to be mashed against the side of it. So I would say probably around the same size as the other one is a good guesstimate. And you can kind of see it afterwards. But basically this is going to look like this is going to look like this, and then it's going to go around. And you can kind of see it already wedged on top of that corner, which is pretty interesting. And the only part of the ellipse that's going to show is this part and this part. However, you got to draw the entire ellipse because you want to make this perfect. So what I'm going to do is, I said I was going to make the ellipse slightly smaller than this one. So I'm going to mark this one, and this would be the top. So I'm just going to go down a little bit. So that's about the height of the ellipse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here, put a little dot here, and put a little dot here. Actually, I already have a dot there. And does this look like it's about the same size? I think it's about the same size. I'm just going to go with the same. Why not? So I'm just going to put a little dot here. All right. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to make a perfect horizontal line right across, and another perfect horizontal line. And again, I'm using my sides of my paper as a guide to make a perfect horizontal line right across. And basically, how do you find the center? I have to sharpen this. This is driving me nuts. How do you find the center? You can see that the sphere part. So I'm just going to go from the corner here to the other corner. Corner here to the other corner. That finds my center of the ellipse, and then I can draw a line straight up and down. Vertical line. Make sure that line is vertical. Sorry, if I'm blocking your view, just give me a second. Okay. So now we have the center of the form there, and now I can put the center line through the center in this direction. And I can draw my ellipse. And then I'll do that the same thing in the other direction. Baby ellipse, baby arcs. And again, I do like to rotate my paper when I draw my ellipse. Otherwise, I rush through it. Especially the bottom ellipse here is the one that's going to show anyway. So I want to make sure it's perfect. This, I'm still going to finish this and put this in because I want the viewer to see it. Because I want to show the interior structure of all my forms. So don't just utilize only a portion of it when you're drawing the first round. I made this a little too low. All right, there we go. Ellipse is getting the best of me. Start now. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's that ellipse there, and then basically that's the only part that's showing. And now I have to do the other ellipse, which I'm going to do now. So this is where it begins, that little blue dot that I originally made, and I can't see that well right now. Put my glasses on. All right, that helps me out quite a bit. All right, so now I'm going to put a vertical line in. And where this other mark here is going to be the other vertical line. And I'm going to use the side of my paper. All right. Now, same thing. You're going to have to find your center here. See if this works. This might not work. I actually never tried this before. I'm just seeing if this works. Crossing a corner, but using the, I think it works this way, but I don't think it works this way. I'm almost certain it doesn't work that way. So what I'm gonna have to do to perfect this is, do you see this point right here? I'm gonna draw a line straight down. I think I lucked out with the other ellipse because it was more central in the middle of the sphere. And this ellipse isn't, or this location is not. So I'm gonna have to make my rectangle. And as you can see, it changes where the center is gonna be. So I can understand my lines are getting really confusing now. This goes here, this goes here, so that's the center. And I'm going to make the center dot blue so we all can see it. The center dot, automatically, this goes through it, so that was kind of lucky. so I don't have to redraw that line. But this one I need. And now I can throw my ellipse in. I'm going to use my red. And before I just roughed it in, and this one I'm just going to make it nice and clean. There we go. One goes here. I thought I was using my red. I cannot see for the life of me. I was deliberately using my red so you could see what I'm doing on the other side of this. And this goes here. Baby arc. And now I'm going to and when you're drawing these ellipses, this might get a little tricky because you're trying to keep it within that's the sphere. So where this line comes out here, I'm cutting it a little short to retain within the sphere. Same up here. I'm just going to cut it a little short to retain within the sphere. Again, these are not, this is just to show the interior architecture of the form, the interior volume, and we will make it perfect later. Okay, so that's where that lives. The next thing I do, because the only thing I'm concerned about is this, and I get my blue, and now I can outline. Now, in retrospect, I wish I wasn't lazy and I went down to the kitchen to find myself a glass that I could use that was a similar width to this guy, or a bowl or something, because now I can't take my blue and put it in here. So I have to hand draw, be very careful, the ellipse that I drew with the compass. And I'm just outlining the exterior part here. Just taking my time, but I'm turning the paper. As I'm doing it. I'm just making the same movement from my hands. But if you have the glass, put the glass back on top of it and perfect it. And I wish I had this sharp because I got a little funky there. And I probably have to go back and erase and clean it up, all that jazz. For now, it's fine. I'll go over there later and clean things up. And then after that, you might want to just get the ruler and run it right in that corner, right into that corner. And now it looks like this thing is wedged on top. Once you apply your value and all that, this will lighten up. You can also just lighten up with a knead eraser if it's too dark, but once you apply your value, it will lighten up. But I personally want to work on this a little bit more so it gets darker and cleaner. And that's it for now.